Hi. I've been working a lot with clients lately around forgiveness and consent. And one of the most pervasive themes is where we carry trauma and impact injuries from situations where we blame ourselves for getting into environments, sometimes small, losing a shoe or a bracelet, and sometimes big, where we're in harm's way. And the hardest piece of healing in these situations is where we are making ourselves the bad guy or unable to take the learning and growth because the injury felt not only accosting but also blameworthy. And interestingly, the theme that keeps coming through with so many people from so many different traumas is that they feel responsible. We have a thing in our psyche where we have been taught in the old energy and programming that because I say so, it is. And so there's a lot of times when bad things happen that the perpetrator will say it's your fault because, or you contributed in this way. And what I would like to really focus your attention on is that when we give consent, when we put ourselves in a position due to our actions, or when we find ourselves in a situation due to our actions, the piece that we give consent to is not the piece that we continue to blame ourselves for. And a really simple example might be a car accident. We are driving the vehicle and we get distracted and we don't brake in time and we nudge another vehicle. And we are obviously contributing. We got in the car, we were in charge and we weren't focused. And yes, we caused an accident. But for many years after that, some people would continue to bring that up and make it your fault that they're perhaps nervous in a car, even though they may not have had anything to do with your vehicle. Or the person whose car was hit may spend many years blaming you for their lack of choice in vehicles because there was one event that did take away choices. But they're trying to project onto you emotions and feelings. And in the form of a simple example, at the very beginning, there's this one thing that you were involved in and you gave consent or conscious activity towards. And then all of this other stuff creates its own legacy of energy and damages self-worth and self-esteem. And you are not responsible for everything that happens after this. That's everybody else's journey, even though they seem to want to give it to you. In reverse, when we're responsible for this much activity, maybe we drink too much and we lose our phone, okay, or somebody steals our bag when we're not looking. We're responsible for bringing the bag with us. We're responsible for losing focus. But the perpetrator of the theft of the bag, we're not responsible for them. They're a thief. They stole from somebody. That was their intention. That was their choice of actions. So in this example, leaving your bag unattended does not make you responsible for the acts of somebody who intended harm. They are responsible for the acts that cause harm. And intending to cause harm may not mean the outcome, but certainly some of the actions. And I don't believe most human beings understand the level of damage and harm caused by bad choices or disregard for boundaries. And what I've found with so many of us is when we get to the place in our healing journey where we would love to give away the fear, the anxiety, the pain, the emotional responses that we have built around this perhaps one event or series of events, is we cannot forgive ourselves for putting ourselves in that position. And this is where the healing needs to go, because it is not true that we put ourselves in a position by doing this much to wear the consequences of this, unless there was conscious intention to harm another. So we want to forgive ourselves for the piece down here which led to those circumstances. It might be failing to set an alarm and missing an exam. It might be some really serious stuff. And I know that my guides have talked to everybody many times about forgiveness, but it seems to be that the highlighted energy coming up with my clients in the last few days have all been around the same thing. We seem to blame ourselves or believe that we are deserving of things, of treatment, of events that can't possibly be about a soul's loving journey. And that is where the shift comes from, that we start to look at these care versus consent moments and start to believe that even when our purse was stolen, even when we forgot to set the alarm, even when we were the one driving poorly, we did deserve love and support in that moment. And we did not lose our right to be valued from that moment on. And somehow the connection between the first piece we did do and this other piece over here we didn't sign on for, didn't do, is this tiny, tiny moment of energy where the injury happened. And so for all of the events where you feel like you deserve consequences beyond your actual actions and choices, take some time over the next few days, weeks, months, however you like, and go back to some of these events and look honestly at the moment where your participation, consent, actions, active actions stopped. Where did they end, really? That is the moment of forgiveness. This is the moment where we need to remember our value and that we were worth loving and protecting and kindness and all of the things that our souls deserve in spite of events. When you're able, go back to these moments. Do them with small things where you lost your luggage. Do them with big things where you lost your rights. But find these moments where you gave away your value. You believed that somehow it diminished you and your rights and your ability to be worthy of love. And remind yourself, you were worthy of love. You are deserving of love. It is the least you deserve in this lifetime. And feelings and emotions are the thing that spirit can't do. It's why we come into these bodies. It's why we have such deep and unexplainable, I can't find my words, but depth of emotions that we're not supposed to consciously grasp and manage and control. We must lean into our own selves, our truths, our value, our worth, And sometimes that's looking again to try and find it, or looking again to reinstate it. And then you put down the energy, the impact, the program that you received from the perpetrator, from unexpected consequence of your actions. Your learning is done. You're not hostage to the past. But you choose. You choose you. You choose to believe in your value. But it is in that moment of magic, that little space between here and here, may not feel like magic when it hurt and when it came to you. But the healing from trauma creates the gifts and the momentum that you were here for. When you move to loving space, when you forgive you, when you celebrate you, when you see that you were always loved and lovable and important. It really is time for us to be ourselves, unique, special individuals, not cookie cutter models or suppressed heart people. And in the old energy, that is how the story went. And that is what happened to so many of us in so many ways. And now we have the vibrations on earth to lift the harm, to move ourselves beyond that, and to use that as an ascension exercise for our bodies and hearts. Trust you. Trust yourself. You will be safe. But you don't have to be in pain. And when the pain is caused by you taking the blame for things you did not agree to, you did not set in motion, there is no benefit to that kind of hurt. And you don't have to keep it. So when you feel you have the time and space, go back to any of those disappointments, one at a time, over time, and forgive you for being there, and bring back the belief of the love that you should have received in that moment if you had been supported as your sovereign being. And this way we come back together. We're allowed to be back together. Sending so much love and healing with this exercise. And hopefully the ability to see yourself in your full glory as a soul and a body on earth. You can come back together.